Hello out there, YouTube world. It's MJ from me, Jesus, and the Hufflepuff hat. Anyway, I've seen that people on YouTube do cold reads, and so I wanted to read you guys something that I wrote. A little while back, I just recently rewrote parts of it. So, gonna do a cold read. This is called Jesus, Jesus. My baby sister, Monica Love Zocht, is a lesbian. When I was 3 years old, my mom delivered her. A beautiful, 3 months premature, but completely healthy baby girl. The doctor suggested that we name her Miracle. My dad's a pastor, but he hates cliched names like that. So he decided to name her after his favorite angel and Touched by an Angel. And to be fair, she's mine too. Monica means advisor or truth teller, and her middle name is Love. It was his favorite concept, telling the truth in love. As an adorable 3-year-old who couldn't quite talk, I called her Lovey. It's great, but my name is kind of the opposite of what I am. Margaret Lal means Pearl Beloved. Now don't get me wrong, my parents love me, but I'm not so easy on the eyes. It's just, outer beauty is just not something I have. So, I'm okay with that, really, because I'm kind of smart, so, yeah. Anyway, we grew up like any pastor's kid did, quoting obscure passages of the Old Testament, running barefoot through the oldest parts of the church, imitating other members of the staff while making sure the mics worked an hour before the service. The huge. There's a few other stereotypes of pastors' kids that we fulfilled. Like, everything we did popped up in a sermon illustration. From Lovey slipping on the newly mopped tile and busting her head open, and when she came to after she was rushed to the hospital, she said, "Daddy, will I still be able to go to church in the morning?" To one particular Valentine's Day when I was younger, where my teacher caught me handing out Valentines that were basically just homemade invitations to church, and when she asked me why I was doing that, I said, because that's where you learn what love is. Duh. Lovey was in youth group long before she needed to be, simply because we couldn't be separated, really. She never caused any trouble, she just drew. And she was really good at it, too. She had this sweetest sketch of our family holding up the church. I still have it hanging up in my room. I never went through that phase of my little sister not being cool enough to hang out with me. It was always the other way around. I never thought anyone else was cool enough to hang with me and my little sister. But then people in the youth group decided that I was cooler than her, and I started to hang out with them without her. I started trying to fit in with them, but that meant leaving Lovey in the cold. And I did the best I could to make time for her, but I was 15. These were the first people I thought I could really talk to outside of my family. Before I knew it, they just started putting Monica down with all these crude, hateful jokes. They said that just because she was an artist and doing very well for herself, that she was a lesbian. I didn't want to lose my friends, but I couldn't stand for that. I couldn't let them spread a rumor about Monica that would ruin my father's reputation. So I stood up for her, for my family. and they left. I lost them. Monica and I grew distant. Her art got darker. Hearts caught in thistles, little thorns stabbing exposed skin. That one won a contest. She called it the fickle mystery of the roses tent. But it got worse. Wrists and ankles nailed to trees, with bodies laying elsewhere. The bluish, blackish hole that consumed her Bible, a picture she called doubt. I couldn't take it anymore. I fell in love with my grades. I was salutatorian of my graduating class, my speech the most heart-wrenching and tear-jerking that anyone's ever heard. My little sister was a freshman, and she was all alone. On graduation night, I came home and found her in the bathroom cutting herself. I didn't say anything. Bandaged her up. I kissed her scars. She'd been doing this for a while. It felt like the right thing to do. I didn't tell anyone, but I hung out with only her the whole summer. That was the important thing. That she stopped. I went to college 2 hours away on a full ride. Lovey started her sophomore year without me. I got connected with my local Wesley Foundation, and she and I, Lovey and I, FaceTimed every night. She seemed so happy. So I planned a surprise party. I was going to come home and surprise my parents after about a month of being at school. I sent her some money, and she went to go get some balloons from the local store, and she was going to make this cupest welcome home banner in the style of her favorite artist, Pablo Picasso. That day I got a call as soon as I crossed into my hometown. It was Lovey. She was crying. She asked me to come get her. I sped as fast as I could to our high school, and I pulled around the back. She came out the door, limping. She had 2 black eyes, a bloody nose. And from the way that her teeth looked like she had bitten her cheek and it had bled everywhere. And then I saw it. Someone had written queer on her forehead. I took her home. She cried harder than I'd ever seen her cry. As she calmed down, I asked her gently, "Is it true?" She burst into tears again. She begged me not to leave her again. She said that she couldn't hang on if I had. I promised I wouldn't. She sobbed, "It's so hard to be different here." And then she looked up at me in fear and asked, "Do you still love me?" I hugged her close. "You're my little sister," I said. I'll always love you. I wiped tears from her eyes as she winced at the bruises. I washed off all the blood and Sharpie. I helped her put on makeup over the obvious things and helped her come up with an excuse for the bloody nose. Look, I know what my views are supposed to be as a conservative Christian. But I don't know what they are. This situation has me all confused. And all I know for sure is that I love my little sister. Jesus, Jesus, if you're up there, won't you hear me? 'Cause I've been wondering if you're listening for quite a while. And Jesus, Jesus, it's such a pretty place we live in. And I know you fucked it up, but please be kind. Don't let us go out like the dinosaurs, or blown to bits in a third world war. There are 100 different things I'd still like to do. Like maybe climb to the top of the Eiffel Tower, look up from the ground at a meteor shower, and maybe even raise a family. Jesus, Jesus, there are those that say they love you, but they have treated me so goddamn mean. And I know you said forgive them, for they know not what they do. But sometimes I think they do, and I think about you. And if all the heathens burn in hell, and all their children burn as well, what about the Muslims and the gays and the unwed mothers? And what about me and all my friends? Are we all sinners if we sin? Does it even matter in the end if we're unhappy?